And this is my question. So you talk about the access that Imran Awan had to the congressional network. He had the passwords, or he had the access, the capacity to view and access the information on many of these congressmen and congresswomen, women's email addresses. Of course, they deal with classified or at least secretive national security information. When Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, covered for him for so long, she refused to condemn him. She didn't fire him until he was arrested by the FBI. She threatened Capitol Hill police. I think the million-dollar question here is, why the cover-up? Why would Democrats protect a man like this if he was suspected of not only stealing equipment, of unauthorized access, but potentially of spying? What good, what purpose? Why would they cover that up?
Because if this one went to trial in criminal court, what you'd have is members of Congress, and all Democrats who hired these people, called in. They'd have to testify, or at least have to speak to authorities in a certain way that information could then come out, but through Freedom of Information Act request or some other way. And their staffers who are likely also guilty in the procurement theft of a lot of this equipment would also have to speak. And there are congressional paperwork showing where this stuff went. Imran Awan was on purpose charging less than $500 for a lot of these items, because then it didn't have to be reported through Congress for this stuff. So we have thousands of dollars of this equipment. So members of Congress and their staffs would have to come in and testify, which would shine a light on how they hire people, what they did, what this group of IT people, mostly from Pakistan, were likely doing. That would shine a light on all of their bureaucracy, their budgets, how they hire. They just didn't want all of that. In fact, even Republican leadership was very reluctant to talk about this. Just some of the Tea Party people, some of the Freedom Caucus people, 5 or 6 congressmen were willing to go out and be aggressive and talk about this case. But a lot of the Republican leadership also didn't want to talk about this, I think, and sources tell me, because they also didn't want the light shined on Congress. They already have bad enough approval ratings, right? So they didn't want light shined on them. And then you look around at the rest of this and you see the media didn't want the light shine on this, because this only had to do with Democrats, and they're protecting Democrats. Most of the mainstream Washington elite media does not want that. They don't want the attention on these Democratic congressmen. And then you have the Department of Justice also, I think, being pressured, and sources are telling me, being pressured by State Department and other entities in the government, because they don't want this to go back to Pakistan. Because when you think about it, our troops in Afghanistan are mostly supplied through Pakistan. So they don't want to deal with those relations that are likely going on there. So there's this whole brew that they just came together and established and said, wait a second, we have to smother this. We have to make it go away. But the problem is, there's all sorts of problems that are inherent with making this go away. Congress isn't going to do the reforms it needs. People aren't going to be punished the way they need. And what's going to happen with another foreign intelligence service? They're going to say, wait a second, this group of nobody Pakistani people managed to get these IT positions? It's crazy.